Hello everyone, I hope you guys are doing well. In this video I will be showing you guys my process of destroying the zombie. So I'm working on a very short animation which I will be releasing the behind the scene in a couple of days. So I'm currently working on a particular shot where I thought it would be interesting to share it with you guys. So basically in this particular shot, as we can see, the zombie runs towards the guy, and hero in this situation kind of shot at it. So my intended effect is to blow up his head, not entirely his head, kind of like a blood splatter, where we have the brain kind of explode. So that should be fun and interesting. I've done some R&D, and it's kind of like an old method which I'm quite familiar with. I've used previously, so I want to attempt to use it for this particular project. So you guys will be seeing some you'll be seeing some definite mistakes of me going back and forth. I'm trying to fix it, but I thought it was interesting to watch me do it. So we have this model. This is actually a model I purchased. So yeah, you just have to do the best I can with the particular set of models. So they're all kind of joined, which isn't ideal because for most effects you probably want to have like a separated mesh. Kind of just makes it easy to isolate stuff, but it will work. So basically the workflow I'm going to be using is kind of like old school, using the Blender particle system, using the explode modifier, and also a clothes simulation to actually explode the head. So let's get started. So great thing, it comes with a skull, which I doubt I'll be able to use. Let's see. Oh, I think we can use it if I hide this. Okay, we can definitely use the skull. So I'll probably scale it up a bit. Okay, so we'll be blowing everything up. So what I will do first of all is to select a vertex group of where I intend to explode. So I think I'll be doing rigid body explosion too for the skull to just give it some chunkiness. So this is the area of the head which I hope to explode. Okay, so once I select this, I will add it to a vertex group. So I will call this group explode. Very creative. Okay, I'll assign that. So if we're checking the weight paint, we can see how it looks. I have like my quick favorite, but basically I'm kind of using this script that basically applies more to the vertex group. It's very handy. Okay, so once I'm done, I will go into the particle system and add particles. I'll make it start at frame 1 and end at frame 1. The lifespan is going to be the lifespan of the animation, so just ideally I'll just leave it at 100. Importantly, we want to go to vertex group and set it select that particular vertex group so it kind of isolates in that particular region which we created. I will scale this down slightly. Okay, so if you want more explosion, you probably add more particles, but ideally you don't want so much flesh, especially from the impact of the bullet. It probably just a little that will explode, but of course we want to have it look very intense. I'm not going for realism per se, so I'm just going for something that looks really cool. But for the particle number, I'm going to set it to something like 200. Okay, I might have to adjust this as we go. So once I have that all set, I will go in and add an explode. Okay, and if we look at it, it's kind of exploding everything. But what we want to do is we want to go to the physics tab because we don't need any physics from the particle. We will be doing everything with clothes simulation. So in the physics tab, we want to go to physics and set switch it from Newtonian to none. Basically, if we play the animation, we can see the animation is still running, but if we see our wireframe, we can see it's kind of messed up. So we want to tell the explode modifier to just focus its attention on this particular region. So let's do that. Here in the modifier stack, I will select the explode, and then hit the refresh. Okay. So we can play with certain things, like we can set it to cut edges. It gives a more realistic look. Okay, and we'll select this UV map. So this is ideally how it will look. At this point, we could even go ahead and turn off the visibility of the particles. So set this from halo to none. So this is how it would look, kind of explode this region. Okay, so I'm gonna uncheck the size, and next I'm gonna add a cloth modifier. But before I do that, I want a pin group. So basically, I want all the region except from the selected part to be pinned. So basically, I don't want all of this to move. So just inverting the selection, which I did earlier with Ctrl I. I'm going to create another buttons group and call this pin. So when we're simulating the cloth, it's going to ignore every all the part painted in red. Okay, so we'll just go to the simulation tab, click on cloth. We have to switch this to play every frame, which is cool. Basically, we don't need so much changes, but importantly, we want to come here under the shape and set it to pin. We'll play it. We can see, yeah, it's just rips off. So let's see if we'll start the simulation. Maybe around frame 27. If we start the particles, frame 27. Just kind of doing it in either way. So we have to find a way to freeze the cloth. So I'm going to pause the video and figure it out, because like I mentioned, this is kind of like an experimental stage. So I'll be back. Okay, so the solution I came out for, I kind of I'm going to experiment with is using the cache. So let's say right when he's hit, that's when we want to start the cloth simulation. So frame 28 to frame, basically the end of the animation, 73. So what's going to happen is the entire time we don't need the cloth simulation is not going to come into play, but when we need it, it's going to come into play. Okay, so at this point, let's enable the particle system to start by 1 and 1 as we did earlier, and then we'll use a force field wind to serve as the bullet to kind of push everything out. Yeah, oh, sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to set this to probably 50. So let's see what happens. So I want the force to be quite strong to blow that away. So what I'm deciding to do is, rather than use force field, I would just actually use an animated mesh. So let's use an icosphere. Inside keyframe, and then I blow it off. I'll set this to a collision. 28. Okay, I think we're getting there. Okay, so I just played with the page start frame and end frame, so let's go. Okay, so then I will move this to start earlier. Okay, so get something like this, kind of explode. Like I mentioned, the size of the head will depend on the amount of the size of the breakout would depend on the particles number. So I'm going to set this to like 50, so we have bigger chunks. So kind of have it explode. That we could add like a solidify modifier later on, or we could just do it now. Let's see what's happening. Yeah, that should not be the case. So put it before the cloud. Yeah, so I mean this works. Let's see if we can start adding the color. By the way, the new Blender material, the new override system is great. It's way better than the previous one. Okay, so at this frame we'll enable it, and here we don't want it yet, so we get I think it's affecting the particle system, which is weird. Okay, I think I'm happy with this, and I will just bake this now that it's still working. Please don't crash. Oh boy, I kind of put myself in this situation because I'm using like a very experimental branch that tends to like maybe makes I'm using Blender 3.4 alpha, so yeah, it's definitely contributing to that. Something I do sometimes when I experience situations like this is to basically export this as an alembic. Let's say you like how it looks and you still want to keep it, so I'm going to export it as an alembic and import it later, and import it as its own mesh. I will show you what I mean. You have to make sure you're happy with it. Let's say this is the final, so I'm happy with it. But I could just call this, create another variation, so I could always go back. And now I will export this as an alembic. So for the settings, I will check selected objects. I will use the viewport setting, frame 1 to 7 to 3. I think we're good, and let it do its thing. So it's also going to bake out the simulation, and then we can import it as its own mesh. Let's try to import that alembic and see how it looks. Okay, think we are good. Okay, so ideally this is what we'll say. So I'm using the alembic now rather than that one. So I'll hide everything I don't need. And now since I'm happy with it, I can delete the particle system because I will show you what I'll be doing now. I will also delete all the modifiers. We don't need them. And now I will tell this to copy this particular modifier. So now I can delete this and even delete the armature. So all the data are transferred. So we're transferring both the materials and every single thing. That's part of it. So what's left is maybe we can have the skull explode. We'll have the skull explode, and so for that we'll be using like rigid physics. We'll be breaking it down. But I'm kind of worried that because we have an animation, it's not going to work since it do not respect like a modifier. So what we would do, let's see the frame where everything kind of goes haywire. I did a tutorial once on how to hide multiple objects. I think that's what we'll have to do in this situation. We'll kind of flip between two. We'll call this hide. Anyways, now we have two skulls basically. I want to destroy one and keep one. So at this particular frame, let's go. I'm happy with this frame, and I will apply oh no, wrong frame. Yeah, maybe this one. Okay, this one is perfect. I will apply the armature modifier, and this is what will explode. Okay, so I'll call the zombie fracture. Yeah, we'll figure it out later. But what I'm going to do is bring the cell fracture, and basically I'm not looking for accuracy per se. I'm just looking for something that looks good. To be very convenient if Blender has like a dedicated fracture modifier to give us that kind of streamlined workflow where you can destroy things. And yeah, probably in the future, or maybe geometry nodes as the solution of everything. So we'll just let it do its thing. It's probably gonna take some time because I set it to a very large sum. We'll just wait. I'll pause video and I'll come back once it's ready. Probably think I'm gonna have to restart Blender. Okay, so I'm done breaking it. So I ended up having to I ended up having to basically reduce the number. The 2000 was kind of too much, so yeah, I had to restart Blender like I said. So this is what we have currently. We could select this, select object, and this is our skull. It's not perfect, but it gets the job done. So we could select all of this and quickly go to object, rigid body, add active. So it's best gonna add a rigid body to all of this. Okay, so if we play this, it falls down, so we don't want it to fall down immediately. We want something to activate it. So that's something is going to be the UV sphere. That's something's going to be the UV sphere that we used earlier. So basically we could select all of this. I don't know if you're familiar in Blender. If you hold down Alt, you could change the values in different objects all at once. So I'm going to select one active and hold on Alt and come to surface response. So in the surface response, sorry, we want to go to, okay, so we want to go to dynamic, sorry, and we want to click on the activation. Make sure you hold on Alt if you're trying to do this. I don't know if this was server as a tutorial because yeah, it just feels like me showing you what I'm doing, but so once you hold down Alt and click on deactivate, we want to also click on start deactivate, and important, I'm holding down Alt so we can see any object I select, we have that there. Okay, so if we play the animation, nothing is gonna happen. We need something to activate it. Okay, and that something is gonna be, where's our guy, Mr. Icosphere. So previously its role was it served as a condition, now to serve as a rigid body, and we want to set it to passive, and importantly we want to set it animated. So if we'll let our animation play, so at this position we have it. Damage 100. Yeah, it doesn't look realistic, but oh well. Let's see. Let's run that back. Okay, so I will probably have to delete some that doesn't look good. So I'm happy with it. Let's select all the shards. Select object, and let's go to object, rigid body, bake to animation. Okay, so we'll just bake it out as animation. Let it do its thing. Looks good actually. So what's left now is for us to before we do that, let's fill this up with the solidify modifier. So where's the guy? So I want to select this vertex group, just the head, and basically what I want to do there is create a vertex group. We'll call this solidify. Okay, making good use of my education. Now in the solidify, we'll add that and also select that vertex group. So it's basically adding the solidify just to the areas where we want it. Don't know if it's doing that. Okay, it's flipping stuff. Normals flip. Alright, I think this works. Then this material, the red one, which is going to be like blood. For some reason it's not corresponding to how I want it. Why? Let's see if we can add another. It should. I don't know why. Okay. Four. Okay. It works. And let's see if we can. I hope the shot came with materials. Oh shit, I forgot to give it material. Let's just give it red. Select object, I'll hide it. And I have a cool add-on, this retopo mat can remove the material or objects, or better still, just tell them to copy its material data. Okay, seems to work. It's a very powerful bullet. Looks cool. Yeah, I will probably want to add like blood splatter. Like I mentioned, I'm not going for realism, but just cool looking stuff. What do I want to do? What do I have it in mind? Okay, next is to hide this. So weird. Blender doesn't allow you to hide stuff, so we'll have to figure that out. I have a tutorial for that. Like sometimes I make tutorials for documentation purposes, and this is one of those process. So let's search the YouTube channel how to hide objects. Okay, so rather than hide others object, my tutorial was didn't take account for objects that basically already doesn't take account of objects that already have animation, because it's basically transferring animations from one another, but it doesn't take account if the object already has an animation, probably an animation layer, but I don't know. I'll kind of do some more research on that particular topic and come back to you guys on that. But what I will do now is select all of this and parent them to this empty. Okay, so I can scale this. Let's see the frame which we want. Okay, so at this frame we don't want it. This frame we want here. This frame will scale it down like crazy, and probably even move it out of the way. Hopefully it will not cause a problem with the motion blur, but we'll figure that out. Okay, so this is what we get to just okay. So we want our previous call to be visible here. So it's gonna be visible. That's this initial skull. And right here we hide it. So we get yeah, so I think it's done. I like it. Oh, let's add some blood splatter. So probably at this frame I'm gonna add a simple. Yeah, this one will be tricky. It's definitely not gonna look realistic compared to like simulating it. But yeah, we'll make the best of it. I'm gonna add like a particle system. I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna parent this. So let's try vertex parenting. Oh, that didn't work. I'm trying to make this follow this guy. So we'll call this parent. If I do copy location, this object, and we select the parent, that doesn't work. I mean, we still have our armature in the scene, so okay, so yeah, we don't need you. Boom. Okay, so you can go now, Mr. Amateur. And for this time, I'll just hide the shads. Oh. Okay, run collection. So move out and hide. Okay, so it's following the head now. That's gonna serve as our blood. So we want it to start at frame 28 basically, and end at frame 35. We want it to use its object motion. Oh no, so let's actually control the direction. Set this to local, so it's going to go the y-axis. Six. Okay, let's do 10 and randomize. Oh no. Maybe it's end at 40, just to have like a nice no, 40 is too much. 32. Okay. I will increase the count to like 3000. Yeah, I can't bake it because yeah, I made a mistake to download Blender 3.4, which in hindsight that's a bad idea. Next I'm gonna add a meta board. This is old school. stuff. Basically using Metaball to simulate particles, simulate fluid. And now we can play with the size. So you guys kind of get the gist of what I'm doing now. Yes. So I want that object not to be visible in the viewport too, so we can just see there's the particles. Because I'll make this red. Okay. Gonna take the Metaball and put it to the ground. Okay, so once I'm happy with what I want, I will export this as an alembic. So we'll call this blood. That was easy. I'm selected viewport. So let it do its thing. And I can probably delete it now, but let's test that everything is okay. It works. So we can actually delete this now. And let's import that alembic file. Okay, so the reason I did this is so you can have more control and just also viewport visibility. Now first I'm gonna make the render. I'm gonna change the color, also this mode, add subdivision. I have this simplify turned on, so probably this mode is not helping here. So motion blur and everything will bring it together. So let's add our shads. Okay, it's looking great. Then like some post effects will bring all of this like together now. So that'll be it, guys. I hope this was fun and informative. Yeah, I'll probably keep exploring. Okay, I might just leave it like this. Okay, yeah. So that'll be it, guys. Bye bye for now. I hope you guys are well. And yeah, take care. Happy weekend. Bye bye.